afternoon, South Africa, and a very warm welcome to you. My name is Jeannie D. This is Afternoon Express. Happy Wednesday.
And I'm Bonnie Mbuli. We're halfway through the week.
I know.
It's quite chilly out there, so I'm glad to be warm and cozying up to you today. So May is Child Protection Month in South Africa. It's estimated that there are 3.7 million orphans in our country today, and we'll be looking at adoption as a form of child protection and how the process all works.
Yeah, speaking of adoption, we've also got Rachel from Sidewalk Specials back, and this time she's brought little Timmy along with her, and he's looking for a loving home.
I got a peek of him, he's so adorable.
No, Timmy might be coming home with Jeannie.
We also meet Laverne Maart, a Cape Town creative who goes by the name Hippkhoi. She's a stylist, model and activist who grew up in the Cape Flats and uses her work to change cultural stereotypes.
Exactly. Now, over the past few years, the local film industry has gone from strength to strength. Releasing next week is the latest in a line of really high-quality South African productions that have received international critical acclaim.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Nommer 37, but I was going to try and say the 37 in Afrikaans, but it was going to take quite a while.
Nommer 37.
Oh, nice, nice. By debut director and writer Nosipho Dumisa tells the story of a fictional suburb in the Cape Flats where gangsterism runs rampant, and it's told through the eyes of a former petty criminal. This was the first South African film to receive a world premiere at the renowned South by Southwest Festival in the USA.
Wat sê jy, man?
Hulle bou 'n klomp spekulasie om hier te bly. Ek wonder ook hoe stink dit so. Ek wil hier uitkom. Op enige wyse wat ek kan.
Welkom tuis, babe.
Wat doen?
Aan die linkerkant. Dis op.
Maar gou.
Okay, check hom kyk.
Wat's dit?
Iets om vir jou te help om dit te kom.
Ek sien dat nuwe brassado Warner op ongetrek.
By nou se daar besloop. Hoekom?
Loya. Wie is dit? Ek weet wat jy gedoen het met my gatta. 4 mense in 'n kamer. Een is sat. Nou die ding is, hoe hou jy die seker tussen die hande, ja?
Hoeveel soek jy?
100,000.
My deal is a deal. As met kroon.
Jy het dit gedoen, Randall.
Randall. Ben. Spook is daar. No.
Ek sien.
Die blok is benauwd met my, man. Wacht net so, man. Alsjeblieft, ek vraag vir jou mondlepper, asseblief.
Joining us now is director and writer Nosipho Dumisa, along with the lead cast member Irshaad Ali, who plays Randall. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. It looks like such a riveting thriller.
Yeah.
Now, I know one of the struggles with local films is to be able to create attention and so much at stake. And we just watched the trailer and we already feel like there's so much at stake, there's so much tension. Oh my goodness. It's like you created it in every frame. You wrote and directed the film.
Yeah.
So tell us about your thought process and creation process.
Well, really, this film was inspired by a classic called Rear Window, which is an Alfred Hitchcock film. And I think what assisted was that there was this amazing foundation of a thriller. And I mean, he's a master of suspense. So as I was creating the story, I really wanted to adapt it, obviously, to the Cape Flats. And looking at a story in the Cape Flats wouldn't look the same way as what it would look like in New York, right? And for me, I think what was going through my mind was, okay, well, I've got to approach it from this guy, Randall. What does he think about his world? He's grown up in this space. This is what he's known. And his choices are limited. He's a desperate man who knows there's something more that he wants to get out of life, but his choices are limited. And I really wanted to focus on that as his driver, but then look at the polar opposite of him, Pam, who's his girlfriend, who's all about hope and that there must be a better way to achieve what we want. And as long as we have each other, you know, I think that we'll be okay. But in a set of circumstances where everything is going wrong, I think it becomes very difficult for Randall and for Pam to keep a hopeful mentality.
Wow.
How did you come about the character and the story?
Okay, so I auditioned for the villain in the story, as I always do in stories, and then they gave me the lead. I have no clue why.
In the short film?
In the short film, yeah. In the short film. So 4 years ago, we made a short film. And I auditioned for the villain, and they said play the lead, and I did it. And yeah, 4 years later, we made the full feature. It's weird because my brother-in-law is a paraplegic. He's been a paraplegic for almost 20 years. And so I've gone through, and they go through deep depressions. And so it was easy for me to go to him and his friends and talk about how some of them tried to commit suicide.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, because this just happens upon you that you lose your legs and you're not able to walk, and it's quite a sad thing to happen to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite a big loss. But for Randall, I don't know, he doesn't have the time to be this depressed because he owes a psychotic moneylender money. And he needs to pay the guy back, otherwise he and his girlfriend are going to die.
Yeah.
And so that's basically. And then 4 years later, like I said, we made the film.
Yeah. Anyone's temptation would be to tell the story of gangsterism in the Cape Flats, and that's I guess the lowest hanging fruit. And it's interesting for me that wasn't your choice. You wanted to tell a human story that happens to just take place. Was that in the Cape Flats, and was that something that you were very conscious of?
Yeah, I think I had to be conscious of it. You know, I'm not from Cape Town. I'm not even from the Cape Flats. And I mean, I've been here for a significant amount of time now.
Come on, you're a Cape Townian. Come on, just admit it.
I've been here since I was 17, so...
No, you're Cape Townian. Okay, you're a Cape Townian.
Please don't tell us saying that my family will die. But I mean, I'm not from here. So for me, it was really important that as I wrote this story and as we were working on this film, that and this was something I said to everyone, cast and crew, you know, that we have to be conscious that this isn't a film about gangsters. This is a film that happens to be taking place in the Cape Flats. There is a gangster involved, but it's not about gangsters. It's about people, and it's about people who are trying to survive. Because I think that me not being from the world, I didn't want to come in and try to kind of portray any kind of stereotypes. And also, I think we've had enough. I think that we can watch movies and just be entertained by good stories without trying to show the same thing again and again and again, you know?
Yeah.
What was the reason for it starting off as a short film and then eventually doing the full feature?
Well, actually, that was a happy coincidence. That was actually, I think that was fate. So we, as Gambit Films, so that's my production company, the company that made the film, we'd been looking to make our first feature film, and we kind of were looking at, well, which story would we work on? And each of us individually as directors in the company were working on different stories. But then we were fortunate enough, we got a call from the Silver Scam producers, you know, and they kind of said, listen, we've heard about you guys, we know you exist, but we know you're trying to find a foot in. Would you guys submit something? And then we had to go, well, we've got our films that we're developing, none of them would work as a short film. But there is this idea that we've always thought about that is a contained story, that is a genre film, and that we could use as proof of concept. And we kind of submitted that and we made it in, and then the rest is history.
Yeah. And as a writer and director, not only are you not from that world, but you're also, it's a different language for you. So how did you cross that barrier? Obviously, with a lot of help from your main man. But what was that transversing that world like?
I want to hear. I've been pining to hear this answer. I've never. I want to hear. What the word?
Calm down. Okay. Okay. So
you're like an old married couple.
Yeah, we are. I think.
Calm down. So it was actually really interesting because I studied Afrikaans in high school. As a second language, I was looking for something easy that I wouldn't have to think about because I was doing all the sciences. So I guess in the back of my mind, I'd always known Afrikaans and understood it. And I happened to work for a company that also put me on Afrikaans lifestyle shows after having done an English one. And I guess that was preparation because by the time we were doing the short film, I was so used to hearing the language, and I'd spent so much time in the flats with different people as well that I knew the language. But I started writing the feature in English, actually. Because in my mind, I wanted the film to be commercial. I wanted it to be accessible to everybody, right? But the more I was working on it, and we'd started, you know, working on with cast, and it just felt wrong because as I would do a location recce and I'm on location and I'm listening to what's being spoken around me and no one's speaking English and I'm telling a story in this world, and I thought, you know, at some point, authenticity has to be important and it has to override other things. And if a story is good, then people will get it regardless of what language it is. And I think so far that's been the case. It'll be interesting to see what happens when we release in June, though.
Well, congratulations on all of your awards, and your performance was absolutely outstanding. You know,
Thank
to
you.
see somebody be so dangerous and scary and yet in such a vulnerable position was very powerful. Well done.
Did you watch it? You saw it?
I've watched enough.
Oh, wow. Good.
Well done. Now, from a film set in the Cape Flats to a woman who grew up there, after the break, we sit down with multi-dimensional artist and social activist Laverne Maart, better known as Hippkhoi.
Glad ice cube bags are so amazing and so versatile as well. But wait until you see how they work. It's pure magic. Plus, they're super convenient and easy to use and take up minimal space in the freezer, and that's always a plus. Simply fill the funnel with water or any liquid of your choice until all the squares are filled. And now for the magic part. The bag seals itself, which means when you tip it upside down, no spills, and that means no leaks in the freezer. Amazing. Each bag makes 24 ice cubes. And because of the perfect seal, there are no freezer odors. You can also use them individually because of this convenient individual perforation. Another great idea is to fill up the ice cube bags with your favorite drink, whether it's sparkling water or berry juice to make the perfect summer spritzer. And just like that, summer is sorted. Glad really knows how to make your life easier.
Whiskers, feed their curiosity.
Phase 1 of the Woodrock Animal Rescue Sterilization Clinic was opened last weekend. With support from brands like Pedigree and Whiskers, the shelter is realizing its dream of opening a fully operational sterilization clinic later this year, servicing not only their shelter but the surrounding areas and giving these animals a much-needed second chance at life.
Whiskers and Pedigree has been involved with Woodrock by donating a lot of food for their dogs as well as their cats. However, today we're here for a very exciting new initiative that they are embarking on, where they've launched their first sterilization clinic. And we're basically here to create a lot of awareness around this and around the good work they've been doing.
Woodrock Animal Rescue is a non-profit organization that assists with animals which would otherwise be forgotten. The rescue shelter homes and provides food, medical care, and most importantly, a second chance at life.
It's very easy to just go into rescue and immediately start rehoming and rescuing dogs. But the heartache, the devastation of the overbreeding and the lack of education has become so evident. So Woodrock have thrown themselves into those two elements of rescue, which is so needed. That is sterilization, but to educate is more important.
This event celebrates the launch of Phase 1 along with the long-awaited Woodrock Animal Sterilization Clinic. 1 million rand was raised to build the clinic, which is in honour of the donors and brands like Pedigree and Whiskers who contributed with much-needed support to make this work possible.
It's actually 850,000 rand to equip a clinic of this magnitude just to do the sterilization project.
We concentrated initially mainly on sterilization. Because of the overpopulation, an enormous number of dogs are euthanized or neglected or thrown out due to overpopulation. So when we go on outreaches and this type of thing, we come across enormous numbers of dogs that I've had litter after litter of dogs.
And one of our ways of actually encouraging the local community to sterilize their dogs, unfortunately, is to give them a nibble. Literally, is to offer them a bag of dog food and say, hey, listen, come and get some of the food and we will sterilize your dog for you. And it's understood that once you sterilize their dog, then the burden of all these puppies is eradicated. And they're very grateful. And to watch the dogs develop in health, because they cannot eat millipup and chicken off the human's tables, which is what was always the idea. But good food, good quality food, and watching those dogs develop into strong, healthy animals is very, very rewarding for us.
And we feed approximately 200 animals at our shelter and about 150 off our shelter in the townships and in the informal settlements. So from that point of view, the guys have assisted enormously.
Understanding the important role that nutritious food and balanced diets have in animals' lives, Whiskers and Pedigree consistently donate food to the Woodrock Animal Rescue Shelter. This includes over 1,400 cases of pet food in just the last 2 months.
So we think it's important to help organizations like Woodrock and other similar organizations because they are doing a lot of work and putting in a lot of effort in terms of their communities that they're in. And we're really all about helping by feeding as many cats and dogs as we possibly can so that they can actually continue focusing on the good work they're doing in terms of adoption, sterilization, and just helping these fur babies find homes.
With Phase 1 of the on-site medical and sterilization clinic complete, Woodrock Animal Rescue is well on its way to changing the lives of the countless rescue animals. Check out their website if you'd like to help out too. Laverne Maart, better known as Hippkhoi, has stamped her name on the creative scene in Cape Town as a multi-dimensional artist.
Having grown up in the Cape Flats, she's experienced the highs and lows of living in a diverse, multicultural society. But what sets her apart is her passion for challenging the status quo and to help bring about social change in her community.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invite.
I see you've made a new friend.
Yeah. I mean, everything about you is just so amazing. Bonnie and I were going through your Instagram and just everything is just so visually beautiful. Well done. I love it.
Thank you so much.
What inspired you to become a visual artist?
I just wanted to create my own little world. I'm always in my head
I daydream a lot, so people always have to like Laverne. So I just wanted to create like a safe space for me, basically, to just be myself, because I didn't find that way in the Cape Flats, and I didn't find that in the CBD. So the only place that I could do that was through my art. Yeah.
Wow. Tell us about the creation of your image, I suppose, because you also have Khoi Color.
Yeah.
Tell us exactly what that is and how you started it.
Khoi Color is basically a non-toxic hair dye, one of my products. Like I have it on now. Dye was always so expensive. I couldn't afford paying 450 rand a month to color my hair, and I just found.
But did you invent it yourself? How did you make it?
At first I did, but then it became too much, so now I use a distributor.
Do you have to, like, sorry, I'm going on about your hair, but I'm
How do you
fascinated.
actually make, what kind of products do you use to make?
Products that you...
Natural.
Like,
non-toxic.
That's non-toxic. Products that you can find, like, in your house. I don't exactly want to say what it is, but then you just mix it with...
Yeah, because
the color, and then
amazing.
Bob's your uncle.
I love it. Where did your name Hippkhoi come about from?
Well, yeah, that's like from high school. I went through so many phases. I was, a lot of phases. And then I think I was doing a poetry. I was doing poetry at an event, like a high school event, and I needed a name. And then I just thought about like all the phases, like the hippie phase, which stuck the most, and then Khoi, which is my ancestors. Yeah. So yeah, I just fused it together, and Hippkhoi was born. But then people think it's like hip hop Khoi, and it's not hip hop Khoi, it's Hippkhoi.
Yeah. So you're very passionate about changing the narrative that is out there and the stereotypes that are out there about growing up in the Cape Flats, or what can come out of the Cape Flats. And I can imagine when you're immersed in that environment from a very early age, the images that are mirrored back to you by society can be quite defeating. So you're very passionate about changing that. Tell us how.
It is because I feel like there is a lot of negative stereotypes being perpetuated from all over. It's in newspapers, it's movies, it's, I don't know, media, like everywhere. And then there's like, there's not a lot of like positive things that's being said on the Cape Flats, and that can work on like especially young kids' psyche. Like in school, you don't even get thought about like your own freedom fighters. I know June 16 is coming on, and I bet you that only the Soweto uprising is going to play on the TV stations, and our kids don't even know about Ashley Kriel and Don Franz, like Colleen Williams and Robbie Waterwich. Like we don't know our history. If you like walking on the Cape Flats, and you ask like a child, like anyone, who is Ashley Kriel, they wouldn't know. So I feel like it's very important for us to tell our story, and to also like just, how can I say? I just feel like more positive things need to be portrayed, and there is a lot of positive role models in the community, and I feel like I know that they don't recognize even the positive influence in the community, like people that have been running tuck shops for over 20 years. So they have this tuck shop that they've been running for 30 years, 20 years. And I mean, it's a successful business. Why isn't that person being seen as colored excellence? Why are only the actors and all of this, the people that's like making name on media being seen as colored excellence, but not the people in the hood that defied like all odds.
But you certainly are doing so much to try and help that. Like, tell us about why you decided to create the Cape Flats Fashion Council.
Because
and how is that operating?
I'm actually still sitting with that. I'm busy working out the business model for that. That's just one of the projects that's so dear to my heart. I just feel like the Fashion Council, the Cape Town Fashion Council is not inclusive, and it's not accessible to like the people from the locations and the people from the Cape Flats. Okay, you have Kailicha Fashion Week, but I would also like a Cape Flats Fashion Week. fashion is like a big thing in our community. And also, while I was growing up, there was like this aunties in our road or around the corner that would make our wedding dresses, that would make our matric ball dresses, and like nice fashion garments. And I mean, they have the skill. They didn't go to any tertiary education to obtain the skill. Another form of like colored excellence for me. And I just feel like, okay, they are sitting with the skill, they're at home. What can I do to create something where they can maybe teach the young kids that's out there and have like a little fashion parade all over the Cape Flats.
In your journey to highlight this plight and to give voice to the community that you come from, what have been some of the highlights, the monumental moments that you've celebrated?
In the community.
And for yourself on this journey?
Just having them be proud of like the little achievements that they're doing, like the little achievements that they, I just feel like it's very important for us to celebrate all the little achievements or like all the achievements, not just little. I don't know why I keep saying little achievements, but like all the achievements, great or small. Like to some people it might seem as though it's small, but to them it's like a milestone. They like had to endure so much to just achieve that moment, and it should be celebrated.
Well done on the work that you do, really, and we'll keep on following you. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Now, after the break, our conversation turns to adoption. With May being Child Protection Month, we look at the process of adopting a child. Plus, Rachel from Sidewalk Specials has another adorable pup looking for a new home. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, there is nothing more heartwarming than seeing our furry friends get the love and warmth they deserve. Thanks to a family with really big hearts, Nanny from last week has found a lovely home. And this week we are joined by Timmy, who was found in Dedurance, and Rachel Sylvester, founder and director of Sidewalk Specials, is here to tell us why you should consider adopting him. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So, Nanny last week, I'm so happy that she got adopted.
Yes, by the surrogate mother.
What?
from the show.
Jonathan Kaplan started
Yes,
it.
yes. I walked in with Nanny upstairs and she was like, oh, we've been looking for an older rescue. I was like, well, funnily enough, I have one. And
Oh,
yeah,
no, that is
so
wonderful.
Serendipity, and she's having a brilliant life now.
Is she having a great time?
She
How
is.
often do you follow in with all of the dogs that
With
get
all
adopted?
of them. With all of them. We try to film the rescues so people can see where the dogs come from,
Yeah.
why we go to the townships to help. And then we go through and film the updates, and people are like cleaning their houses. We're like, we're just honestly just filming the dog. Yeah, so with all of them, but yeah, she's doing really well.
So now tell us about Timmy. Where was Timmy found?
Timmy was also Didon's.
Yeah.
Actually, a similar road to where we got Nanny from. After our sterilisation drive there, we were going back to find the TVT dogs,
Yeah.
which is a form of cancer dogs can have. And
Oh,
we had the
wow.
tags from about 20 dogs that had the cancer. So we're going to meet those dogs, chat to the families. And this little guy was being treated not so nicely when we were there.
Really? What conditions did you find him in?
He was just, it's more like it's their body language with dogs. He was terrified.
Oh.
You can see he was just like absolute freeze.
Baby.
And I just asked the owner, do you want the dog? Do you actually want the dog? And she was happy to have him to go. So he just joined our ride and came back to Cape Town with us.
Oh, no shame. He's so beautiful. How old is he?
He's about 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a collie-sized kind of dog when he's fully grown. When he gets happy, his tail does start wagging and stuff. At the
Yeah.
moment, if anything changes, he just freezes again.
Now, why the focus around Didon's in particular?
Before Didon's, we were working through Witzenberg, sort of around the Tulbach area, Prince Alfred Hamlet, and I'd heard about a lady in Didon's who was doing like hot dog stands and trying to raise money to fund sterilizations.
Oh, wow.
If you hear a story like that, you think, well, it's got to be a reason. So I took Aaron Jakovsky, a very good photographer, with me, and we went in to see Didon's and what's the problem. And it was quite overwhelmingly obvious there's a massive problem there. There's a satellite clinic that does its best, but there's no actual resident vet. There's no funding. There's no active sterilising rescue there. And yeah, it's kind of like we did 400, last time we went there, we could do 4,000 more.
Wow.
So we just went through, we're talking to people, and this time what was nice is the first time we went in, like, hi, we want to sterilise your pets. The suspicion was like, why? And how much? And we were like, no, free, like, we'll raise it. You just give us your pets. And this time people were like, when are you back? When are you back? I want this one sterilised, I want that one sterilised. Waving their vet cards at us, like, look how healthy my dog is. And it was such a positive. I mean, I love going there. It sounds crazy, but I absolutely love going there. I feel so positive because people want to help their animals.
Yeah.
You're not fighting with them. You're saying, can we help? And they're saying, what do you want us to, like, anything you want us to do, we'll do it.
I say this to you every week, but I think you do such amazing work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And let's hope that Timmy gets adopted. Hey, baby.
I think so, hey?
Oh, so sweet. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us.
They're cute, they're cuddly, and they're TV stars. Baxter and Donut, the adorably fluffy four-legged members of the Afternoon Express family, are sharing their daily adventures on social media. To see what Baxter and Donut get up to behind the scenes, follow the adventures of Baxter and the adventures of Donut on Instagram.
May is Child Protection Month, and it aims to raise awareness for the rights of children. And it's during this month that we shine a spotlight on children's issues. According to UNICEF, there's an estimated 3.7 million orphans in South Africa. And this afternoon, we focus on adoption.
Joining the conversation is social worker at the Adoptions Unit of Cape Town Coalition, Cindy Lee van Andel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So South Africa has a high incidence of children being abandoned due to illness, child-headed households, and just a need for adoption to really become a huge drive. But why are we where we're at? And it seems that less children are getting adopted.
Yeah, I think in general, the information about adoption needs to be disseminated to the public. People have this perception that adoption is out of reach, it's not accessible, it's still glamorized. There's a very Western American perception about adoption. So the National Adoption Coalition, which started in 2011, is hoping through media campaigns and talks like this to educate the public and make them aware it's accessible. Because like you said, 3 million orphans, 1.8 million of those orphans can benefit from adoption.
And how many children do benefit from adoption?
Well, the most recent statistic we have is for 2016, and that's 1,165 adoptions that were registered. Most of those were step-parent adoptions, so about 300 of them were unrelated placements.
But why is that number so low?
The adoption process is long, is rigorous, and is frustrating. So you go through screening, you go through the adoptability of the child, the report might be finished, it might be at court, there might be things that need to be finalized. So the statistic actually comes from once it's registered in Pretoria. So it might still be in the pipeline. So that's why it's very hard to get a good read on our stats. At the moment.
I can totally imagine how tough it is and inaccessible it is for some people. I've gone through an adoption process and it took long and it needed patience and it was rigorous. There were so many requirements. Are we making it difficult for families to adopt children in South Africa?
No, I don't think we're making it difficult. Remember, we are speaking about a child, and our Children's Act prescribes to us best interest of the child. So we can't just be sort of very laissez-faire about it. You need to be strict and ensure that the people that you're entrusting this child with, not only for 2 years like with foster care, but forever, are suitable, are fit and proper. They're not going to let the child down in a few years. So we are quite pedantic about where you live, who you live with, police clearance, medical assessments, child protection register checks. We ask for references. I think we are quite detailed. We invade your home, we put you through training, we spend hours interviewing you, but we need to get to know you.
If there's anyone watching and they're interested in adopting a child and they just want a framework of what it's going to take and what the process of adopting a child in South Africa is, what are just the general steps?
Okay, so the first step is obviously application. It's the completion of documents, getting your police clearance done, medical assessments, child protection register checks. Compile all your documentation and submit it to the organisation. Then we normally have preparation, so that entails the screening process. It's interviews, home visits, training workshops, orientation meetings. You know, it differs from agency in terms of the format, but those are the two outlines. Once your screening's been approved, you go onto a waiting list, which I think is the hardest part, but it's also when you're called paper pregnant. It's also exciting. Once you're on the waiting list, there's a process of matching that happens, which is where us as social workers are dealing with the actual children and finding the best possible parent for the child available.
How does that matching work? Because can you pick and choose?
Well, I always tell my clients, we can't mess with nature. Adoption is a willing and voluntary process. So the birth parents have to come to us and say, look, I would like to do this. It's not that it's through coercion. So once a child becomes available for adoption, that is when the consent has been obtained of both mom and dad, or in the case of deceased parents, there's a death certificate available, or where a child has been found adoptable through the court proceedings, where there's been deliberate neglect or abuse. So once the child is adoptable, we can then consider, okay, let's try and find the best possible parents for this child. Whether it's an older child, whether it's a newborn, it's about finding the best parents.
But now discussing child protection, what happens to the actual child when this whole process is going through, through all the red tape?
Okay, so once the child is born, let's start with the newborns. Once the child is born, the children go into what we call temporary safe care. So it's either with a kangaroo mom or we've got dedicated baby homes. It's not as nasty as it sounds. They're actually lovely places run by amazing people. They sacrifice their time, they nurture these babies for the period while we're sorting out all the legal aspects. So that once a parent signs, they've got 60 days that need to pass. Once the 60 days has passed, that child's adoptable. If we cannot trace the parent, we place an advert, which takes 90 days. Sometimes the parents run away from us, so then we need to send the sheriff after them to serve them. So, you know, the time frame, roughly 60 to 90 days would be ideal. So for that period, they're cared for by temporary safe care parents. Once they're adoptable, we then do the matching process, and then we would contact the applicants on the waiting list and say, look, we call it a proposal meeting. We invite them in, and it's quite a big surprise, very emotional for them. And then the placement is actually done, which is the sort of the tail end of the process, where legalization happens at the court, with the children's court. The child is placed with a court order. And once the placement is done, we do a follow-up visit, a post-placement visit, to see how attachment and bonding is going.
Right.
To see that you've settled in. Do you need any additional support? We then compile the final adoption report, which then gets submitted to court, and that is when your adoption is granted.
Yeah. Apart from just that process on your part to see if a family is fit to take in a child, are there any apparent prohibitions immediately that people need to know about the adoption process? Like, I can't adopt if I'm this or if I have that.
Okay, so criminal records tend to become an issue. So every case is taken on its merit, but if you have been convicted of an offence against a child. You would not be allowed to adopt. Violent crimes would be also looked at on its merit. You might not be allowed to adopt. So that's why we have the Child Protection Register check done. It's become standard now at schools. Everyone who interacts and works with children, we need to know that your name does not appear in Part B of the Child Protection Register. So those, I think, are the two most important things. But also for people wanting to adopt. The National Coalition has on their website do's and don'ts. So the do's are, please approach an accredited adoption agency or an accredited adoption social worker in private practice. There are many social workers, not everyone can process your adoption. What you do not do is accept a child through social media. It happens. Children are advertised.
Wow.
You know, it's posted on Facebook. It's
devastating.
Gumtree. It happens.
Please,
Oh, no. Please avoid social media, accepting a child or networking or even connecting with a birth parent directly without the assistance of a social worker. Also, approaching or going to unregistered and unaccredited baby homes and children's homes. We don't know how these children got there. We don't know whether it was done legally. Please, if you don't know, call and ask. And then the last thing is also, when children are abandoned, public servants are very easy quickly to find a family to take the child. You can't do that without the legal process happening. You know, there's things that need to happen that need to be secured for this child. So please, if you're not certain, check in with an agency. The National Coalition's website is www.adoption.org. It's currently being rebranded, but have a look on there. It will link you to the closest accredited service provider in your area.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We've just received a tweet, and it's from @StandoutGirl, and she's asking that she's asking for help. She says, my sister passed away in 2016. We've been trying to adopt her kids legally, and the social worker keeps stalling. What can she do?
Okay. I know at the moment there is legislation that's being passed to determine that all social workers, even within the Department of Social Development, can do adoptions. So she needs to find out, is a social worker accredited? In the past, some of them were allowed to. With the new legislation, it's been clamped down on. So find out if your social worker is accredited and the agency. If not, have a look at the website, adoption.org.za, and link up with one of us who are accredited to assist you.
Absolutely. Thank you
or
so much.
Or approach the
for
Children's
joining
Court
us.
as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing the insight with us. And I know adoption can be a very satisfying and beautiful experience for those who choose to go that route. And after the break, it's time for some midweek fitness as we change up the pace with the live dance routine workout. We'll see you after this.
CHOC is one of South Africa's leading organizations who aid families who are affected by childhood cancer. Afternoon Express, together with my school, are committed to helping CHOC raise funds for a newly refurbished home away from home. You can get involved by signing up for your free virtual My School, My Village, My Planet card today. Download the My School app, select CHOC as one of your beneficiaries, and help us make a difference.
nutrients, protein and calcium, Smart Drink is made with love by Clover.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, we all need a little help when it comes to staying in shape, and thanks to Clover Future Life Smart Drink, it makes the chill a little easier to deal with. It's a great on-the-go smart snack with added nutrients, perfect to slip into your gym bag for a post-workout replenisher. And speaking of workout, joining us in the loft today to share some great tips of how to maintain summer bods in winter, we have Courtney Smith from the Dance Lab and Beautiful Workshops. He'll be taking us through some tips we can do to stay in shape this winter. Welcome to the loft.
Thank you so much.
How am I going to get beautiful?
I think we can start by...
Yeah, I'm going to start with this. Staying in shape in winter is really difficult to stay motivated. How do you keep your ladies that come to your classes motivated?
Basically the same way you guys keep your audience motivated to tune in every day. So you need to kind of be authentic with your work that you produce. So I try and bring something fresh every single week so that they feel like they can't miss out, not like Zumba classes where it's repetitive movements each and every single week. Yeah, so I give them something new, something fresh. The workouts are all completely the same, so that's something that they can...
It's
basically,
doable.
yeah, that's where their confidence builds. It's like they know what they're doing for the warm-up, so that's getting them into learning something new. And also by leaving with accomplishing something new, you build a bit more confidence in that. So I think winter doesn't really play a big role.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think of it as, you know, stay in shape in winter so that by the time summer comes, you don't have to do that much cutting because you've already just maintained throughout the year.
That's motivation enough so that you don't need to work as hard coming into summer to keep your body in shape.
So Gwyneth Paltrow has said that her favourite way of staying in shape is and doing cardio, because cardio is difficult. So her favourite cardio is going to a dance class and actually learning how to dance, because then it becomes more fun. You don't realise that you're working out because you're having so much fun. What are some of the most, like the best steps to go ahead? I mean, can anybody dance?
Most of the time when I post on social media, people feel intimidated because they basically see the end product. So I'll show everyone what has been done within the class, but obviously not document what's been going on throughout the class.
Yeah.
So it's also me taking pride and investing my time personally with the people that I'm working with within the class so that each individual knows the dance.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm trying to be like a choreographer that wants to look good himself at the end of the video. My goal at the end of the class is that each and every single female and males that feel like exploring their feminine side to accomplish that specific routine.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those who see the videos and stuff, it's not actually what happens at the end, but what goes on during the class that gets people excited to do the routines. And
well, let me tell you, I was watching you rehearse, and you guys are going to get a chance to watch him dance a little bit later. But if I had to see you in the club like that, I would actually just grab myself a drink, sit down and just watch you, because it's mesmerizing. It's really, really good. I hope you can teach me how to dance.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here today. And when we return, we're going to have a fabulous little preview of this dance. We'll be right back.
With 50 nutrients, protein and calcium, Smart Drink is made with love by Clover.
Okay, Durban, hit it.
You are live on SAPC 3. Our mothers are watching us on TV. This is the place you need to be. If you want to feel like a VIP, I want to carry on, I gotta go.
But you better watch our show. Hey, make sure you catch Presenter Search on 3 this Thursday night at 7:30 right here on SABC 3, where the stage is yours.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, as promised, here is Courtney Smith from Bootiful to demonstrate the Bootiful workshop session. I recommend that you stand up and do it with them because it's so hot. I'm going to be beautiful after the segment. That moving, that music, that dancing. I mean,
delicious.
Nothing ruined my Friday more than realizing that it's only Wednesday.
It looked absolutely delicious.
That's such
So
good
are you enrolling?
exercise.
Are you enrolling?
Only if you go. Please, let's go.
You know, I've got 2 left feet, but I'll give it a shot.
We promised each other last year that we were going to go to dance classes together, but we're definitely going.
Okay,
I think we should join you guys.
Yeah. We'll do at least 3 and see how we go. Hey?
Yeah, absolutely. So today's show was absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
I'm holding myself back from adopting Timmy, but I certainly hope that somebody at home will take him to a good home.
Yeah.
I think you definitely need a doggy as well.
I'm absolutely passionate about adoption. Anyone who knows me knows this about me, and I'm so glad that today was like adoption for any kind of adoption you want.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you want to get involved, yeah.
Everybody needs a little bit of love in your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll adopt a dance class as well.
No, exactly. I'm going to adopt a dancer too.
Join us again tomorrow when we chat to R&B soul singer Hippkhoi about his brand new album. And we look at a new concept called the Human Library, where instead of taking books out or reading books, you can hear stories through one-on-one conversation. That sounds interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's show is going to be absolutely amazing. And I hope that you enjoyed the presenter search last night as well. Please do let me know all of your details about what you thought and who is your firm favourite.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. You're going to give us some moves. Oh, yeah. I'm inspired. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. Ciao.
Afternoon Express, made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.